I was saying was that I got the opportunity to see Eric speak at the NFPA conference in Orlando. And while I saw a lot of really fantastic sessions, his was definitely my favorite. And since it was the first one, it set a tone for the rest of the day. So I'm going to turn that over to him and let him introduce how he prefers.
My name's Eric Halter. I'm a fire marshal in Mustang, Oklahoma. Uh, I don't know what all she's told you about the presentation I put on or any questions that y'all have. I can kind of go over a brief summary of some of the stuff that I've gone over. Is there anything in particular, any program in particular that you want me to go over? I know I've gotten a lot of requests for the autism stuff, but is there anything else?
The autism stuff inspired us to start working, or inspired me in this office to start working towards a special needs fire safety week that we're going to work toward in March. And when we talked about that, then Erin talked about the fact that she's already working towards something. So it's brought up a lot of information around here that things are, we've kind of looped everybody in. Erin has also took your idea for comic strips and has been producing several of those. Um, we also talked about the thing at the library, the scavenger
Yeah.
hunt that you did with the library. We also talked about the partnering with Lowe's and building that garage that you guys did. So, does anybody else here have anything in specific you want to ask? Or Eric, was there other things that you thought would be helpful?
I can walk through my autism program and kind of how it started and how everything I got going on with it, and then I can go from there. I will share that from that NFPA conference, I've had a representative at Lowe's reach out to me that covers the central United States, and we're working on having Lowe's, at least for Oklahoma, become a resource for smoke alarms for all the AHJs, to where every local Lowe's in that AHJ will provide free smoke alarms for us. So we're in the process of ironing that out to where it'd be kind of like how State Farm partners with NFPA. It'd be almost the same relationship, to where we could just go in and it it'd skip the whole relationship building and trying to develop that contact and all that. It would go in and say, "Oh yeah, you're the AHJ. Here, how many smoke alarms you need?" So
That's
we're
amazing.
we're working that out. I got a couple more meetings with them next week. So if we can get that going, maybe we can get going nationwide and just have blows provided. But so I'll start with the autism. Uh, I'll just kind of give you the spiel that I did at the NFPA. Uh, so a little back history on me. I've been on the fire service for 17 years. I did 15 years on the line as a paramedic and in suppression. And then I came over about 2.5 years ago into the fire marshal's office. I've always had my hand in the pub ed and doing the school programs. And then when our fire marshal retired, I moved over into his office. And so I got a lot of experience on running the calls. And then when I came over to the fire marshal side, I was pretty out of my league. So I've been going to a lot of schools and training and different conferences. And one of the conferences I went to had the Autism Foundation of Oklahoma just had a booth. I went over there and started talking with them. And they started telling me about how much of the population is affected with some form of autism. And going back to my history on the line, I started realizing I have ran several calls with either the patient had autism or it was a family member. I was running a mom that was having a heart attack, but her son was autistic. And just looking back, realizing I didn't quite know how to handle some of those situations. So when I first started into the autism training and trying to figure out what needs to happen, my my first aspect was to train our fire department. So I reached out with them, and they sent a representative out to our fire department to train our firefighters on how to have better interactions with autism, people with autism, and how to the different resources that were out there. And I got some kits that we put on the truck now to help with better communication and just overall better understanding. But then I started thinking about the fire prevention side and the pub ed side and community risk reduction. And I realized that's a section of the population I'm not reaching, because we have a pretty robust pub ed program here with our schools. And it's a lot of music, loud dancing, costumes, and all kinds of stuff that we do. And a lot of times the children with autism step out of the show because it's just overstimulating for them, or a lot of them are homeschooled. So my first initial jumping into the autism for community risk reduction, I wanted to do fire prevention because that's just kind of my wheelhouse. And I realized that the big risk for the autistic population isn't fire related. It's more of wandering or drowning, stuff like that. And then I had no education on any of that, so I had to go dig more into that. So on, let's see, when I was hunting for education on how to prevent it, I called the Oklahoma Children's Hospital, our burn centers. I said, hey, how many autistic patients do you see here and why? And how can they be prevented? And then I started reaching out to the Facebook groups. There's like Oklahoma Moms of Autistic Children, and just there's different Facebook groups. And I started reaching out to those groups and say, hey, what are your needs? What are your concerns? How can we help you? And I started getting a whole bunch of feedback. Then there's a lot of resources in some of the foundations that I've reached out to. And then, so when I was hunting for swimming, when I found out that drowning was a huge problem for children with autism, mainly caused by the wandering. They would wander off and they're attracted to sounds like water and like cars driving by on roads, water, stuff like that. It piques their interest. So I actually originally I reached out to my city pool and asked if I could have a couple days to do free swim lessons for children with autism. And then I finally found a swim academy that had specialized instructors for, it wasn't just kids with autism, it was just all special needs children. And they told me don't just do a 1 day lesson with children with autism. It's a process. It takes months, kind of a crawl, walk, run when you come to children with special needs and swimming lessons. So I canceled that, and I ended up partnering with the swim academy. And when we did our community risk reduction day, we ended up giving out 5 free scholarships for 3 months of swim lessons for kids. And this next go around, we're looking at upping those scholarships to 20 of them, to give out 20 free scholarships to kids. Another big problem was wandering. And so the wandering is a lot harder community risk reduction tool, because every kid, every child is different. And so you have to almost build individual risk reduction programs for each child. And that's kind of how we worked on it through our community risk reduction day. We went in, and if your child had a wandering problem, we would try to build a program specific for that child. We'd have to see what that child was interested in, and if he's interested in dinosaurs or cars or Barbies, whatever it is. One of the things I learned is if children with autism love routine and they love certain items. If they're not interested, you can't make them interested. So we try to figure out what that child was interested in, and then like we'd make a stop sign at the front door with Spider-Man on it. and if that was what the child was into. So when it came to wandering, we would practice, stop at the front door at the stop sign with the Spider-Man on it before going out, and go out with an adult, and just it became part of their routine. And even if they were just going on a normal uh, trip to the store, they would train the child to stop at the stop sign at the front door, wait for the adult, and then they would leave. And that way, if they had an inkling to go wander, they would go in and stop at that stop sign. Another part of the problem with wandering is we always teach exit drills from the home, safe meeting place. You're not going to teach your child that's wandering how to get out of the house if you spend your life trying to keep them in the house. And that was part of we did exit drills in the home. And that was part of the exit drills. We would teach them to go to that same stopping place, that same Spider-Man stop sign, and be like, you need to stop here and wait for an adult to go outside, or wait for your caregiver or whoever, and then whoever's watching the child will be trained in the same manner, because the risk of wandering is a whole lot more than the risk of being trapped in a house fire. So that's kind of some of the routes that we took with the wandering. We did the swimming, and we did the exit drills in the home. And then another part of the program is we call it the SAID program, the Special Needs Alert Identification Program. It was actually created by a police department in Oklahoma, and what it fits into our CAD system as it is now. What it is the voluntary registration to the fire and police. We partnered with our Mustang Police Department with it, and they can go in, and when they fill out an online registry, it's on our website, and it tells us everything we need to know: how old they are, what they look like. It has an updated picture within 6 months. It tells us what their likes, dislikes are, if they're verbal, nonverbal, just any form of anything. And it's not just with autism. It's actually, we're getting some senior citizens with Alzheimer's. We're getting some of them registered in it as well. But what it does is, on our CAD system, a little red heart will pop up. If that red heart pops up when we're responding to a call, they can hit that red heart, and it'll tell them, hey, this kid, whatever the needs are. If they're responding to a medical call, if they're responding to a fire call, it'll say, this kid is trained on the exit drills in the home. He's a wanderer. This is where he goes. It'll train if he hides in the house. If they get overstimulated and they hide somewhere in the house, it'll say in there, hey, this is where they hide in their closet, or they hide in their bedroom, or it'll also have in there, if they're a wanderer, this is the park we normally go to. This is the area that he likes or she likes. That way, if they do get out of the house, we have an updated picture and a list of local areas of where they might wander to, because they like their routines. They take the same routes, and it'll just expedite the process. If a parent calls in that their child has gotten out of the house and they're wandering, we'll automatically hit those spots first. It also, we're working on registering vehicles to where if they run a tag to get pulled over and the police are coming up, it could say, hey, this is a nonverbal 17-year-old autistic kid. And so it'll help the police officer realize this isn't a medical issue or like a drug or a misbehaving issue. It's just the children is autistic, but he's high functioning autistic, and he can drive and function as normal. One of the other things that we worked on when we did individualized plans is I was trying to get to know their home situation. If your kid is autistic and it has noise or something like that will overstimulate him, what do they normally do? What's their reaction? Do they just lay down on the ground where they're at? Do they cover up? Do they go hide? We just try to figure out how that child will react. How ingrained are they on their daily routines? If they get out of that routine at all, do they have complete meltdowns? Because some of them, if they normally stop at the gas station and then go to the store, if you switch it and go to the store and then the gas station, they'll have complete meltdowns. So it's just trying to get to know the kid and how they would react. And a lot of people think of autistic children as, they're 3, 4, or 5 years old. We'll just pick them up and carry them out of the house. Well, there's 18, 19, 20-year-old autistic kids that are 250 pounds that you're not carrying anywhere. So if their routine's messed up or if they're overstimulated, do they just lay down on the ground? So we kind of taught them about shelter in place. If this is what happens, this is, you shelter in place. Get registered in the SAID program. Let us know that this might be the reaction that they get, and this is the room that they stay in. Or another part of the SAID program is if they have a specific item that they like a stuffed animal or a toy, they can put that in there. That way, if something's going on, we can retrieve that item that they like to help calm down the situation. We partnered. I ended up learning that the number one cause of death of smaller children is wandering. They'll either get hit by cars or trains or drown. But when you get into the older teenage era, suicide is a massive problem with high functioning teenagers with autism, because they function enough to be able to function in society, but they know something's wrong with them and they have a hard time connecting personally. So we reached out to some local churches that have like autism sensory services, and they also have small groups where they just try to meet with 1 or 2 families at a time. We'll go meet in a park or meet somewhere to try to build that relationships to where they feel connected somewhere to try to combat the suicide in the older the teenage era. And then we've partnered with a autism foundation that's local to my area, and I go and I train high functioning adults that are fixing to go live on their own. They're going to transition to live on their own. I teach them just general fire safety. I teach them smoke alarms, how to check their smoke alarms, what to do if they have it, have an emergency, just different stuff. I also try to get them registered into the SAID program just in case they get pulled over or something like that. And then I try to build that relationship to say, hey, if you ever need anything, if you have questions, just call. When we did the community risk reduction day here, we had booths set up to where I'd register them with the SAID program. I had different fire prevention sheets that I made, like different comic book strips with different messages on them, whether they're wandering or not wandering. And I did several different ones. I did like Mickey Mouse, Legos. I did Shimmer and Shine, like a whole bunch of different ones to hopefully grab the attention of some of the kids. And if they liked it, then they would grab it. The reason I did comic book strips is because children with autism have a hard time interpreting body language and tone of voice and emotion. So they really like the comic book strips because it literally tells them I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm scared, so that's why I went with the comic strip route, is to try to better communicate to the child. Instead of using expressions, I just used actual language that they could understand and help interpret better. We also had the churches with the small groups. We had booths with them here. We had the swim academy here. We had the police department here. We had the ambulance here. Just so they could walk around and just let them know that we cared and we were here for them, and that trying to build that relationship with the child to not be scared if fire or police come to their house, and just try to make it fun and try to become one of the things that the kid enjoys, and that way if they do see us, it won't be overstimulating, or they won't shut down. They'll have that connection of kind of a joy with us. And so that's what I got going on with the autism. I partnered with a whole bunch of different people. It took me about 18 months to build the community risk reduction program, just chipping away at different resources. And a lot of the reason it took me so long is I had no idea, I had no education on any kind of autism, anything. So the Oklahoma Autism Foundation I had a meeting with them the other day. They're wanting to start a task force on how to better educate, or how to better communicate between first responders, fire, police, and families with autism, and how to bridge that gap. So we're working on that. I'm working on going around to different AHJs and trying to get the whole state set up with the SAID program. That way, it doesn't matter what jurisdiction you're in; it would be cross-referenced. So uh, there's a lot of stuff going on right now behind the scenes that we're trying to work on and get built up. And if y'all have any ideas, throw them at me. I'm always looking for new ideas or new connections or new stuff to do with that. So I can break right there and see if anybody has any questions on any of the autism programs or have any ideas or anything.
One of my questions is, when you were doing individualized plans with those folks, were you partnering with like an occupational therapist, or who was help leading that conversation?
So I was helping leading the conversation, and there's a woman with the Oklahoma Autism Foundation. She's their kind of like their PR person, and she actually has autism. And she was there with me at my booth to help communicate. Uh, some of the verbiage they were using, I wasn't quite understanding, and she was there to kind of bridge that gap of the individualized plans.
Perfect. Okay.
I had a
Thank you.
question too, Eric. When you were helping make those individualized plans, did you get feedback? Were they seeing less flight with those kids at that point after you had made those plans?
So a lot of it was a lot of information at once for the families. I actually had two parents cry in the middle of it because they said that they're exhausted and they've never had anybody reach out to try to help them in that manner. So a lot of those, I gave them the individualized plans. We had a lot of conversations, but I ended up getting a lot of follow up phone calls of, hey, I don't quite remember this, I don't quite remember that, or so that a lot of the feedback I got was it was a lot of information at once. So, and I haven't quite figured out how to handle that one yet, or just give them all the information at once and then encourage the continued connection afterwards to follow up. So, because it's hard, it is a lot of information at once, but a lot of the kids, only half the information there really pertained to them. If the kid didn't have any problems with wandering, half the information I had, didn't pertain to that kid, but he really needed the other information. So it's a challenge I'm still trying to work on. Is there any other questions on any of the autism stuff? Okay. And then what was some of the other ones you talked about you wanted?
I don't know. Did you guys, I thought that there was a lot of people got uh, excited about the idea of burning a garage, but that might have just been because, firefighters like to burn things. I'm not sure if they
So
were looking for more information or just into the idea.
when I burned the garage down, that was for my fireworks safety. Uh, we are completely surrounded by Oklahoma City, and recreational fireworks or consumer fireworks is not allowed in Oklahoma City, but it is allowed in Mustang, and it's become quite a novelty. We actually get people that travel from Texas and Kansas and Arkansas to come to our town to light off fireworks. So our population actually grows by almost doubles on the week of the 4th of July because that's when we allow consumer fireworks. And it it actually gridlocks our streets, and all our parks are completely packed with people setting off consumer fireworks. Well, the problem we are having every year, I was getting there was either two kind of fires. One, was people were throwing away their fireworks in their poly cart and pulling it up next to their house, and then the poly cart was catching on fire 2 or 3 hours later, and it was getting into the eaves and burning down their attics. Problem with that was it wasn't setting off their smoke alarms for a while, and so their attic was completely involved before they even realized their house was on fire. And it was at 2 or 3 in the morning. A lot of people drink alcohol and stuff like that on the 4th, so you got drunk people passed out in their house with their complete attic on fire. The other problem I was having was people take a lot of pride in showing off their fireworks like a display, like look how much I bought. Well, they were setting it on the tables, picnic tables in their garage with their garage open, and they would just go grab some and then go out in the street and light it. Well, stuff would fall over and shoot in their garage, and then the table would light off and their house would burn down. And we'd just sit there and rotate on which one we wanted to burn down each year. So I decided to try to do some kind of educational deal. So I did a 2-in-1. I built a simulated garage, and I put fireworks on a table and then just literally took a Roman candle and shot it in there and blew it up just to show them how fast it could go wrong and by setting up tables like that. So I'm trying to teach them to bring it out or put it in boxes or do some kind of way to protect it and not just lay it all out for stuff to land on it. Another problem was that is a lot of times people were getting burned if they were inside the garage because it's hot here in Oklahoma in July. It gets up to 100, a little over 100 degrees outside. So people sit in their garage to try to stay in the shade, and that's usually where the coolers or the refrigerators are. And so you got people sitting in there, and it's usually either kids or elderly that are sitting in there while the other people are setting off the fireworks. So you just pack a high-risk population into a garage full of fireworks while everybody's shooting it off. It never ended well. So I'm trying to teach people to close the garage. The other one ended up burning down the simulated garage because I put a poly cart full of fireworks in there, and we just had them all sitting there simmering, and then we showed them how fast that it could take off once it finally lit, and then try to do some educational there. I am learning though on these videos that I make that the average view time is about 20 to 25 seconds, and then they click off the viewing. So I'm making these 2-3 minute videos, and they're only catching the first 25 seconds. So I'm actually I'm actually using my kids. I got a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old. Hey, what interests you? Like, what would pique your interest on a 20-second video, to try to capture their interest and then give them just one message at a time. And instead of doing 5 or 6 different messages in a video, I'm just going to try to do a 20-second video with one message in it and start the video with trying to capture their interest. So I'm working on doing that now and changing up some of my educational videos that I push out there. But that's how, and I got all the supplies donated by Lowe's to build the shed, and then I got a local firework company gave me all the fireworks for free. The video guy had such a good time. He came out and he shot the video for free. And then I had our city work people to do our street maintenance. They helped me load all the wood over to the area to build it, and then we got to use their property out there. That's it's got a pond by it, and it's safe to burn stuff out there. So we had to use a whole bunch of different partnerships for that one. This next year, I'm actually gonna be partnering with Lowe's again. I'm doing buckets, 5-gallon buckets, and I'm gonna put a QR code on it, and it's gonna be show a picture of you dumping water on your fireworks and leaving them at the curb, and be entered to win a $100 gift card on our Facebook page to try to help put the fireworks out.
So is Lowe's donating the buckets? Is that?
Yep, they're going to donate. They said buckets are cheap, however many I wanted. So the way I'm going to try to go about it is, the way to sell fireworks in Mustang, you have to be a nonprofit organization to have a fireworks stand, and I do all the fireworks stand inspections. So I was going to go around and try to give 200 buckets to each fireworks stand, and then have them, when they sell the fireworks, actually put them in the Lowe's bucket with the information on it and hand them the bucket. So when they leave, they have it with them.
Very cool.
We'll see if it works. I don't know. I haven't done that one yet.
Eric, I had a couple questions. I think the bucket idea is fantastic. I really like that. I was wondering about like the dimensions and composition of the garage. Like, what was the size of it? Did you just have, was it just like OSB or what was it made of?
So I just did it with I actually used the garage for two different reasons. One, I had the ATF come in, and so a little bit more backstory on it. I needed money for my community risk reduction budget. So I had ATF come in and host a fire dynamics class, and Lowe's donated the wood for the fire dynamics class and the firework video because I told them the whole thing I was doing. And then I taught a fire dynamics class, or the ATF taught a fire dynamics class here. And so he had the specifications of the housing. So it was a simulator room, and it was just a 8x8 room. That was it was 8x8x8x8. I mean, it was just because we did 4x8 sheets of plywood, and so we built a room with that. And I raised $1,300 off the ATF class and put that in my community risk reduction budget, and then I shot the firework videos in the rooms that are already built. So I try to use everything to the max potential and try to get money. My budget's pretty limited. I don't know if she went over that. I get $3,000 a year for my annual budget, and I do all the fire investigations. I do all the pub ed, community risk reduction. I do all plan reviews and code enforcement. So when I bust it up into different sections, I get $300 for community risk reduction. So, and I spend a lot of my time trying to figure out ways to use my resources at the max potential and different kind of partnerships with people in the community.
I thought it was kind of fun to hear about how you created some of those partnerships, and it was largely around food.
Yeah, so I like to eat, and a lot of these for like Lowe's, when I started that partnership, we went and we did a touch a truck event. It was some event that Lowe's was having, and they invited us out there, and they said they'd give us free food truck food. So we went out there and just had some good conversations and was talking with the public. And then I happened to be just built a relationship with the store manager who was in the Navy and was a firefighter in the Navy, and we kind of talked. And then a few months later, they had a sprinkler head bust in their store, and we stayed about 30 to 45 minutes extra and help squeegee out the floor and get them cleaned up so they could get that area cleaned up. And then the following year, they invited us back out to the touch a truck, and we went out there and we started talking and just having a good time. And a lady came up and asked us if we had any smoke alarms, and I didn't have any on me. I said, yeah, we do. They're at the station. You'll have to schedule with me later, and I'll get you some smoke alarms. And the Lowe's manager was like, well, hold on, I'll go get some right now. And he came out with 3 or 4 cases of smoke alarms, and he gave them to her. And then we started talking about our smoke alarm program. And he said, well, don't worry about smoke alarms anymore. I got them. Just come up to me. And well, so ever since then, that was probably 4 years ago now. Ever since then, we just go to Lowe's and we say, hey, we're low on smoke alarms. And he gives me smoke alarms. And then 2 years ago, I went to him and asked if I could have CO alarms as well. And he said, sure. So now I get all CO2 or CO alarms and smoke alarms from Lowe's for free. And I just literally go up there and say, hey, we're running low. And we walk back to the shelf and he gives me whatever he's got. So that now anytime we do any kind of smoke alarm installs, we put a CO alarm in the house as well.
How about the commercial with the high school mascot?
So I actually just finished our commercial for this year. Last year we did a commercial with Sparky the fire dog working out in the football weight room with the high school mascot, and the strength and conditioning coach was there, and he's yelling at him, trying to motivate him, talking about we'll always do safety first, that kind of thing. And then at the end, it ends with the NFPA's logo of whatever that year is. This year, I actually supposed to get the video back today. We did the football program again, and this time Sparky the fire dog was trying to lift up, our mascot's a horse, so he was trying to lift up the horse to test the smoke alarm. And the football coach comes out and starts yelling. I was like, "What are y'all doing?" And they point to the smoke alarm, and he said, "Let me show you how you do it, Mustang." And the cheerleaders come out and they do their little where they throw them up and hold them on their hands or whatever, and the cheerleaders check the smoke alarm, and then it ends with smoke alarms make them work for you or whatever and it ends with the logo for this year. And what we do is the athletic department at the school, they let me air that on. We have a big jumbotron on our football field. They air that during every football game, and then we do live stream of all the home and away football games. They play it on that, and then they play it at their basketball games as well on the jumbotron. So, and we're pretty big here in Oklahoma on high school football. So we usually get around 3,000 to 5,000 a game. So I've actually partnered with them this year. We're going to do a pink out night with them, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to give out a bunch of pink footballs and different stuff that have fire prevention messages on it. And then we go down the line in the Sparky suit and we throw footballs out into the crowd while the message is airing. And we'll have a bunch of little coloring books and different stuff with this year's message on it, handing them out to kids. That one's pretty fun. We're very connected with our school, so I don't know if y'all have seen our school programs. I rewrite songs every year, whatever's popular. The last one I wrote was Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. I rewrote it with fire lyrics, and then I partner with local churches that do their worship pastors, and then they sing it and record it for me, and then they give it back. And then that's some of the stuff we play in the schools. Now we got we got 20 or so different songs that we have, and we do like a 45-minute show with a whole skit. So last year was the first year I did this. I partnered with the curriculum director for the elementary schools, and we wrote an exam of what the main topics we were going over that year in the school. And then she put it into their tablets that they normally take their everyday exams on. And then we did a pre-exam and post-exam and to see the growth. And there was actually a 35% increase on knowledge on fire prevention stuff. And then some of the topics we talked about, they didn't quite understand. We could show that we weren't delivering that message well. So we're gonna have to adjust it a little bit on some of those. I do a ramen noodle burning program for our middle school age kids. We give out free ramen noodles. This has a message on it because the #1 burn in Oklahoma for middle school age to college age kids is ramen noodle burns. I actually found that out during my when I was talking with the Oklahoma Burn Hospital for autism. I ended up finding out about the ramen noodle stuff, but now they give me free ramen noodles. The burn hospital gives me free ramen noodles. I got a whole closet full. I got to keep the firemen out, but I got a whole closet full of ramen noodles that have education messages on them. And the reason they get burned is because middle school age kids are at home alone after school, and they don't realize how hot it can get in the microwave, and the microwaves are always up above where they're at, so they got to reach up to the microwave and they spill it on them. So it's just a educational deal, and you'd be surprised how many middle schoolers come over just to get a free bag of ramen noodles. So I talked to them about that. We do I do a safety driving. We have a local wrecker that donates a truck or a vehicle once a year. We go up to the school and we do a simulated accident. We usually try to do it around that prom time. We'll do a simulated accident, and we take the drama team at the school and we put a bunch of moulage on them and we put them in the vehicle and then our firefighters will come and we'll actually extricate them. We'll cut the doors off and stuff like that. And then before COVID, we were doing where one of them would die and they'd actually have a funeral that we would set up, and they would have a whole all the high school would sit in the auditorium and they would have to listen to like a mock funeral, and the person, whoever we chose that year to die, the person would their friends would go up and talk, and it was like a pretty emotional event. But after COVID, they told us that we need to due to the mental health of the kids, we had to back off a little bit. So we still do the display, but we don't do the full blown funeral and everything with it. I have monthly meetings with our school safety director, and we talk about different aspects of how we can help and do different things. Right now, we're working on a program we're calling it Silent 60, where for school shootings, they're pulling the fire alarms. So what we're doing, if the building has sprinkler systems and a fire alarm goes off, we're calling it the Silent 60, where everybody in the school lines up like they're going to leave, but they line up at the door of their classroom with their door closed, and then administrator is designated to look at the alarm panel and see where the alarm's going off, and then they go to that area to see if it's an actual fire alarm or an actual fire incident, or if it's somebody pulled the fire alarm. And then after 60 seconds, if they're not told to stay in the room, then they go ahead and exit like it's a fire drill, like they get outside. But they have a 60-second buffer there to find out if it's really emergency or not. And it's only in the schools that have fire suppression in them. And then we do CPR for our coaches. A few years ago, a kid had a cardiac arrest in the weight room, and one of the coaches there had CPR certification, and he started CPR immediately. We got there, we continued CPR, and we ended up getting the kid back. So striking while the iron was hot, we started talking. He was the only coach that had CPR certification. Started talking with the athletic director, and they were all caught up in the emotion of it. So we started a program where we go to the high school now every about 3 months, and we do CPR for the coaches in increments. So we have like close to 200 coaches in our school district. So we break them up in smaller groups, and we'll go up there, and whatever the group is, if it's a basketball, we host CPR in the basketball courts. If it's football, we host the CPR there, and we break them up into 5 different sections, and we do just chest compressions on one, just AED on one, and I make them go get the AED that's closest to them in their facility, so they have to actually walk over and grab their AED and come back. We do a mental health one of what to expect mentally after the scenario's over, and then we rotate them through the 5 different groups, and then afterwards we do a full-blown scenarios where they have to come in pairs and actually call 911. We set up a dispatcher for them, and they have to answer questions and do CPR and put on the AED and everything, and it's had a real big positive impact on the coaches and different stuff. So now every coach in Mustang's got CPR certifications. I do fire extinguisher training every year with the bus drivers. The school district's massive, so they have a lot of expired extinguishers every year, and they'll come out, and I have a little burn prop that I cut a gasoline tank in half, an old gasoline tank that's metal, and I just put diesel in it, light it on fire, and I teach them different aspects of the extinguishers, and I just do extinguisher training for the bus drivers. I just did that last week, and right before school started, and the bus drivers reached out and said that they want to start doing our CPR program with the bus drivers because they're out there by themselves with the kids, so they wanted. So I'm in the works now of starting a CPR program with the bus drivers. Let's see. We have a youth fire saver program that I've worked with, and I've partnered with the schools on it. So if any kid gets caught playing with fire, they get suspended and have to go through my youth fire setter class, which is just 1 day. And they'll get a youth fire setter certificate saying that they passed it, and then they can go back to school. We got for October, I do a different challenge every week with the public schools. Just post a picture of you testing your smoke alarm in the month of October. You get entered to win. Each week is we pull a winner each week, and the winners accumulate. So if you put it in the first week of October, you'll have 4 chances to win. But the first 2 weeks we'll deliver pizza in a fire truck. So whoever wins, I partner with Pizza Hut, and they give us free pizza, and I let the Pizza Hut driver or delivery guy or whoever the representative ride in the fire truck with us, and we can deliver pizza at their house and just take pictures and have fun with the kids. And then the last 2 weeks, one of them's ride to school in a fire truck, and one of them's ride home from school in a fire truck. So we'll go pick them up from their house and drive them to their school and drop them off if they win that picture contest. And it started out where we'd only get, maybe 50 or so entries, but we're up to a couple hundred now. So that's some of the stuff we do with our schools.
And they do fun photos, don't they? I remember astronaut or something.
It's pretty interesting. I told them to have fun with it. I was like, don't be boring. Just go there and push the button. So they put their dogs up there, their dog paws, or they dress in costumes, or they do some pretty wild stuff. But it turned into a pretty fun event. So that's what we do with the schools. So I started doing a homeschool program because we do all the schools with the people that are in school. So I started doing a homeschool show. I actually do it at our community center, which is right by our library. So a lot of times after the homeschool show, they all go in to do the scavenger hunt. But it's the exact same show I do at the public school district, but I do it at the community center, and it's just a 45-minute show. We go out there and we teach the same message to the homeschool kids. One thing I learned, the number one complaint I got my first show I did was at 9 a.m. I said, I guess that's too early for homeschoolers, so I had to bump it back. This year I'm doing 10 a.m. Hopefully I don't get that much bad feedback on it. I might have to move it to 11. I don't know. We'll see next year. Yeah. And then afterwards, I tell them about the scavenger hunt, and they go in and they do that scavenger hunt with the library. I actually just did a deal with our libraries. We have these called My Little Library boxes through our town, and it's just random people that put them up. But there's an app that has the locations of all of them. So I went around, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago in the Sparky suit and putting fire prevention messages, coloring books in them. And then I just posted it with all the locations, and I was telling everybody, hey, it's still summer, get out, learn about fire prevention. So my brain goes all over the place. If you haven't picked that up by now, I'm always looking for something new. I'm always looking for how to engage the community. We've done coloring contests in the past where if the winner of the coloring contest gets free pizza, and I do just different age brackets, and that one's always pretty fun. Another deal, I haven't done it in the last couple of years, but I did a coloring contest at the middle school age. I partnered with their art club. I did a coloring contest. I gave them the message and then told them to do whatever they wanted. And then the winner of that contest, I went to our chamber conference, and they printed out poster size of it, and I went and hung it up in all the school districts, schools for that year's message.
Very cool. I'm gonna try and step back a little bit. What questions you guys have? We got Eric for 10 more minutes. Who out here has a Sparky? I know Bismarck Rural does, but that's the only one I know.
I don't know, but I want one.
Rod, you guys have one in Grand Forks? Nobody else? Aaron, I've heard that the Sparky thing it's hard to get. There's a lot of paperwork and stuff, but you gotta, I don't know.
The Sparky we had, my former fire marshal got it, so I just use it. I don't know the process of getting a new one.
Yeah, apparently it's a big deal.
Yeah, I wouldn't in Grand Forks. They'd probably love to give it to Aaron, but
Ooh, yes, that would be wonderful.
We do have one in Bismarck, but we don't use it as much as probably could be used. But have you found any better ways of cleaning it and stuff, Eric? Do you take it in to get it dry cleaned, or what do you guys do with it? Because that's kind of part of the issue.
Oh.
That is a big issue. on it because no dry cleaners will touch it. So I actually reached out to the manufacturer to figure out what's the best process, and I actually use like carpet cleaner. You got to use a non-invasive carpet cleaner, and I sit there with a toothbrush and I clean the fur with the non-invasive carpet cleaner, and then I let it air dry, and then on the inside I just use Clorox wipes, and then there's certain detergents you can use to wash like the gloves and stuff like that, and I just wash them in a wash machine on a gentle cycle with that detergent, and that's the best I could come up with.
Still want one, Aaron?
I do. I really do. I'm like looking into this. This is, yes.
Sounds like Eric does a lot with his, so sounds like it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of our trademark. Like everybody associates it with the fire prevention, and it's a big child, attention grabber. So it'll bring the people over our booth or whatever. And if
Travis,
anybody
you're
needs any resources, just reach out to me. I'll give you whatever I have for free. I'm here just to help anybody out with anything.
Is it okay with you if I just send everybody your contact information from your email?
Yeah, send them.
Okay.
You can send it to whoever. Anything y'all need, just reach out. I'll give you whatever I have. If you have any ideas for me, let me know.
That's great. Well, I thought you guys would be all jumping around and having all kinds of questions, or you just do that good a job that everybody's taking too many notes. Nothing? All right,
So,
well,
well, I
You have
can.
one, Eric,
Go
I
ahead.
got one for you. I just curious. I apologize. We have some water damage, so we got a bunch of fans running in the background here. But I know you partner with a lot of different people for funding and stuff. Have you hit up the Walmarts much? We don't do it as much for the fire department, but I know our police department has partnered a lot with the Walmarts, and they get tons of food funding. If you're doing any of the feeds and stuff, they've been really good about hot dogs, hamburgers, buns, getting just different things for the police department. They've made a really good partnership with them, and they also do a grant. I think every Walmart has like a safety grant that they can award every year. So I didn't hear you mention it. I did step away for just a second, but that might be something if you got one there just to kind of hit them up and visit if you're looking for some funding.
Yeah, so Walmart, Lowe's, and State Farm are probably some of our biggest donors. Walmart donates a whole bunch of water to us, and
Okay,
then every year we do a fireman supper it's our 4th of July, city 4th of July show, and they donate a whole bunch of watermelon for us. And then our Walmart can give up to $100 a month for like safety type stuff. So every month they give us $100 gift card to Walmart, and then we can buy different supplies with that.
awesome.
But I can run through the list of some of the programs we have and see if anybody's got any questions. So I got that firework safety, the CRR for autistic children, the SAID, do the adult autism training, the swimming for autistic children. I did the firefighter autism training, homeschool program. I got a WUI program I have, smoke alarms, CO alarms, library scavenger hunt, distracted driving, do storm shelter registry, school coaches CPR. I do some senior adult education and some slips and fall education, do car seat safety checks, the school videos, school programs, burn permits, Halloween safety, the youth fire setter, do just public CPR. I do a firefighter health and wellness program. Then you just got your normal touch a truck, station tours. I've actually talked the city into doing 2 big trash days a year to help clear out some of the trash around the houses. I do fire extinguisher training, safe place. We're a safe place city to where any teenager that's 17 or under can get a safe haven. Slips and falls. I partner with a lot of people to get access to free food, medical, and clothing for families in need throughout the year. do the Facebook challenges and the coloring contests. That's most of my programs there. There might be one or two that I'm missing, but if anybody has any questions on them, you can email me or call me.
There was another, didn't you put a bunch of resources on your website for
Yeah, most
people
of the
in?
stuff on the website if you need it as well, or our
Okay.
Facebook page. There's a bunch of stuff on it as well.
Okay, great. Anybody else want to jump in? No? Well, thank you so much, Eric. I really did get a lot out of it. And I would have been one of those parents that was crying at your autism event. So it was touched me in a lot of different directions. So thank you so much. And thanks for taking the time to come and talk to our folks here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no time. Thanks for having me.
We'll keep watching you.
Thanks,
All
Eric.
right. Thank you.
Anybody have anything they want to talk about otherwise? No? Okay. Then I'm going to shut this down. Keep in mind it's recorded. If you missed anything or if you want to come back to it for any reason, I'll have it available. Thanks all.